Turbo. Hey guys, my name is Chris, and today we'll be learning about tweening. Tweening allows for smooth movement on anything with an X or Y position, and you can tween anything with a numeric value. This allows for some really fluid visuals when trying to make games fast. In order to follow along on this video, make sure you have Turbo installed on its latest release. At the time of this video, that is 0.7.0. We have video resources to help you install Turbo should you require it. Now, if you're on version 0.7.0, you don't actually set up your dock with config anymore. Instead, we have a Turbo.toml, and inside of this file lives the same parameters as your config would have held, like name, version, description, authors, and then the canvas, the width, and the height. With the Turbo.toml talk out of the way, let's step into our first step, which is setting up our game state with some tweens. For simplicity, I'm going to set up these tweens and I'm going to name them Tween 1 and Tween 2. In the top of game state, I set Tween 1, specify that it is a tween F32, and do the same thing but call it Tween 2. And then down here, I specify that I'm going to make Tween 1 a tween new at the value of 10, and Tween 2 I'm doing the same exact thing, value of 10, and I'll talk more about this ease and duration on the recap portion of our video. If tween is a new term to you and you're unfamiliar with it, it might be best just to show you it. So we're going to do something fun here, and we're going to set a rectangle in our go loop here, and I'm just going to set its rotation to a value called tick. And right here, I'm actually going to save my project and run it. So if I do turbo run -w and I do tween is what I've named mine, I'll drag it into frame, and you can see my rectangle is rotating, and that is because I set it to its rotation tick. Now, let me show you what tweening can do. Step 3 is to update our go loop by using tween.get, and any changes through tween.set will be picked up and checked in that go loop. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take my go loop here and I'm going to paste over it with this. Right up here, I have the let y position equal state.tween.get, and I have the let x position equal state.tween.get. What this is doing, this is always returning the values of the tween. And down here, we use the A input and B input to set those values. So if I save this, then we can see that if I click A, it now goes to a position according to the values that were set here, which is 50 and 150. And since those are x and y values, I guess y and x values, then it goes over here to y 50 and x 150. If I click B, it's going to go to x and y 100. So you can see here that I am tweening the object from these positions, and it happens really smooth. And the rotation of the object here is just kind of some added flair. Now let's recap on what happened to achieve this. Step 1 is adding two different tweens to my game state, Tween 1 and Tween 2. This allows me to tween both an X and a Y position. I can only use one tween per value, and that's why I need two of them. The ease field is how we can animate the transitions. You can check out that webpage to see what the different transitions look like in case you're having a tough time choosing. But I just use ease out cubic for both of them to make it really simple. And then the duration is how long it will take to complete a tween. If we set this value higher, the tween will take longer. I've just set mine to 5 because it makes it look pretty smooth for a quicker transition. Step 2 is rendering the object. I made a rectangle and I set its X position to the tween.get and its Y position to the tween.get, and I gave it a width and a height, and its rotation is equal to tick for now. Step 3 is to update our go loop to have inputs so we can see the tween in action. So I am setting the tweens to different values. When we initialize them, they're just at 10, which is why the rectangle appears in the top left corner. And then when I click A or B, it's setting those values to something different. Now let's have some fun with this, and let's change the rotation, since it is a value, to tween, and let's mess around with the easing and duration a little bit here. I'm going to take my entire project here and just copy and paste over it. And you can see that I added a Tween 3 here. I've changed the duration of my Tween 1, Tween 2, and Tween 3, and I messed with some of the easing. Now we have ease out cubic, ease in out sign, and again for Tween 3, ease in out sign. And then I added a new field right here, it says let rot, or rote, whatever you want to say here, is equal to state.tween.3.get. And then right here, I've changed the rotation equal to rote. And then I added it to the A and B input press. So let's save this. It no longer rotates around in a circle, which is totally fine because when I click A, it goes over here and spins, which is kind of cool. So if I click B, it goes over there and spins, and you might notice it kind of has like a curving path, and that's because the easing is different for these two tweens. So my Tween 1 has different easing, and my Tween 2 has different easing, so that's kind of cool how all that happens. This is a pretty powerful tool just to make mundane things like flipping through menus or HP bars depleting to look fun and interesting. I want to challenge you guys, if it's your first time, to use Tween in a project, or if you already have a project, go ahead and add some tweening into it. It'll make it look kind of nice, and I want to show you how I've done that with my own project here so you can see an example. So I'm going to close out of this, and I'm going to run turbo run -w hanger is my personal project. And if you've watched any of those turbo tools, you might already know that. So these animations back here are not the tweening. The tweening right here is this little diamond. So I've made this diamond move through the menus or options here with just a smooth Y tween. So just changing the Y value. And then if I go into tutorial right here and I go into gameplay, I have this arrow, and this arrow at the top, I'm tweening both its X and Y position, so this is a shape that I'm tweening, and it kind of bounces around to help whoever's playing my game learn about various objects or things, and they can see that. And so that is what I use tweening for in my project here. That is what I have for you today, nerds. I hope this helps, and if it did, drop a like and join our Discord. Let me know in the comments how your projects are coming along, and let me know what videos you'd like to see in the future. Turbo!